Hello, and welcome to the third issue of Know Thy Risk e-Tips. The purpose of these e-tips is to educate you on the various issues that impact your pregnancy center organization so that you can make informed corporate and management decisions. We hope that you will like the new look we've chosen for the e-tips. We believe it will better reflect our commitment to education. This week's topic is about should the executive director be a voting or non-voting board member or not a board member at all? I work with hundreds of pregnancy centers every year, and I often am asked this question. And I found that there's a lot of confusion out there about this issue, so I want to educate you about the facts so that you can choose the corporate structure that is best for you. First, it's important to know that there is no law that requires or prohibits the executive director from serving as either a voting or a non-voting member of the board. The Better Business Bureau actually sets the best practices for nonprofit organizations, and they have allowed for paid staff to serve as voting board members as long as no more than 1 or 10% of the board members are directly or indirectly compensated. Therefore, it is strictly an opinion when you hear that the executive director should or should not be a voting member of the board of directors. Because, you know, what works well for one pregnancy center may not work well for another. According to one study, up to 42% of the chief executives of nonprofit foundations were voting board members. Many executive directors serve as what is called an ex officio non-voting or voting board member. An ex officio board member simply means that the person automatically serves on the board as part of their position in the organization. So, should an executive director be a board member at all? Well, let's explore this for a moment. If the answer is no, then the executive director should still be included in all board meetings because, let's admit it, no one knows the organization like the executive director. But if the answer is yes, then the decision must be made whether or not they are a voting or a non-voting board member. If the executive director is to be a non-voting board member, it's important that everyone understands that a non-voting board member is a real board member and needs to be treated as such. A non-voting board member is equally responsible for the decisions made by the board on behalf of the corporation and should be a part of the quorum count. If the executive director is a voting board member, a provision stating such should be included in your bylaws. Let's look for a moment at the pros and cons of the executive director being a voting board member. One of the pros is that it provides stability on the board. Board members are going to come and go, but that executive director should be there for many, many years. Another one is that the executive director has a higher credibility and authority with the board and the community. And the executive director and the board work more of a partnership with an equal voice and influence. Let's take a look at some of the cons. First of all, staff and board roles may be a little blurred from time to time. Also, there could be an increased situation of conflicts of interest, even perceived conflicts of interest. And then also there's always the potential for the board to rely too heavily upon the executive director for just general direction overall. So in summary, what have we talked about today? There is no law requiring or prohibiting an executive director from serving as a voting or a non-voting board member. Whether or not to have the executive director as a voting or non-voting board member is strictly an opinion. And you need to decide what works best for your organization. We have created a questionnaire to help you think through what would be the best choice for your pregnancy center. You may download this survey by clicking on the link below this video. May God bless and keep you as you continue to protect the sacred work that the Lord has entrusted to you. Talk to you next time.